every great adventure begins with one thing, a skill you didn't have yesterday. So let's build one today. In the Charm series, Eddie McAllister is constantly building inventions, connecting with other students who love STEM, and occasionally being interviewed for the nightly news. Today's guest is joining us from a place that shows up in book 5. We're talking with someone who does something very similar to what's in the book, but he does it in the real world. Jeh Jeh Pruitt works as a reporter at Birmingham's Fox News. This conversation will help us understand the real world skills behind what Addie experiences in the story. So, welcome, JJ. We're so glad to have you on the show.
It is such an honor, Loxley. Thank you so much. And hello, everyone.
So, in book 5 of the Charm series, Addie is preparing for a big speech when her favorite teacher, Dr. Bourne, shocks her with the announcement that a reporter from the local TV news station will be arriving shortly to watch her practice and then interview her. I know, big eyes. In the book, she definitely gets the big eyes.
Yes.
When you were younger, was there a moment when you realized, hey, being a reporter is something I want to learn more about? Tell us about what you do and how you first became interested in being a newscaster.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, there have been plenty of moments, but I'm going to tell you the first moment that I became interested in this particular field. We were at Whitewater. I don't know if many of people know that. It was a water park that was in the state of Georgia near Atlanta. And I was with a singing group, a high school choir, and we had video cameras. Now, I'm going to tell my age. That was when we had the really big cameras where you had to put a tape inside of the thing and record, and it recorded only on tape. Not like today for all of you guys, where it records digitally and then you can put it on the computer. But we had to record a tape back then. And somebody had a camera. And I started acting like I was this reporter. And I was like, hello, everybody. We're here at Whitewater and we're having a good time. And I started interviewing some of my cohorts. And my teacher, my choir teacher came up to me and she says, hey, you're pretty good at that. You could probably do this for a career. And I said, do what for a career? I didn't even know what she was talking about. And she says, being on the news, being a reporter. And I said, really? And she goes, yeah. And I said, okay. So after we got back from the trip, I started watching the news and I started watching it every day. And I was like, this is something that I really would enjoy doing. And so by the time I was in the 10th grade, I knew exactly that this is what I wanted to do. And it all stemmed from my choir teacher telling me that, hey, you might be good at this. And come to find out, I think I was pretty good at it.
How many years later, not to give away your age or anything, but a decade or two later, you're still at it. So, yeah.
Yes. So
Definitely.
I have been in the business 30 years. And so that was in the 10th grade, that was 1988. Wow. I can't believe that.
Oh,
So
we're the same age.
I
Yeah,
really, so I've been interested
around the
in
same
that.
age.
I've been interested in that ever since then. So it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah, yeah. And we did have really big cameras back then, kids.
Yes,
Like
we did.
a little thing that flapped out, and you're like, you got the fancy one, it would move around some.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Think of a really big, thick laptop. That's how big they were.
exactly. Now, in the books, Addie is invited to be part of the team given a keynote speech at the National STEM Conference in Colorado, but she has to develop the public speaking skills to feel comfortable on stage. Yeah, and that takes practice. Practice, kids. Write this
Yes.
down. Practice, practice, practice.
Yes.
What was one of the first real skills you had to learn to do your job well?
Well, the first thing that I had to learn how to do was to be able to read and write and to be able to tell what I read and wrote very quickly and explain it to a person. So that was the very first skill that I had to learn. And that was one of the most important skills. There are going to be some people who tell you, Loxley, that, hey, you probably need to learn how to present before you learn to be a reporter. No. The first skill that you really need to do is to be able to read and write and to be able to read and write very well. So I'm telling all of you out there now, if you guys ever want to be a reporter, then you have to absolutely love to read and then to be able to tell people what you read and to be able to present it to somebody so that they can understand it. So that's one of the skills that the very first skill and one of the toughest skills that I had to first learn about being a reporter.
And to truly dive into what you're reading and comprehend what you're reading
Hmm.
in
Yes.
a way that you can then tell somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's easy to read it, but once you read it, as you said, you have to be able to comprehend and understand it, and then be able to tell somebody what you read so that they can actually understand it as well. It is,
Yeah.
it's, I'm not going to say it's difficult, but it is challenging, but it is definitely worth it.
Oh, yeah. Now, in the Charm series, failures happen. And in book five, her favorite, Dr. Bourne, is stumbling through this keynote speech because, as we know, the adults are always juggling a lot of hats. He's been taking care of that behind the scenes work the kids don't know about and trying to chase down grants and, just doing all this work. And he didn't have time to practice the same way that the girls had time to practice. So he's up there on stage and he's fumbling and not having a good time of it, and the girls realize that they have to do a role reversal and they've got to step up and help the adult. So instead of the adult helping the kids have got to help the adult, and they've got to help him learn this keynote speech overnight, help him feel comfortable on stage.
Mhm.
So this is a reminder that even adults need help from the kids in their life. But can you tell us about a moment where something in your work didn't go as planned?
I don't think we have enough time, but I definitely can definitely tell you. So there have been a number of times to where things did not go right. I'll tell you a funny story, everybody. One time, when I first got started, my first TV job was in a small town in Texas called Midland, Texas. And there were a couple of kids who had broken out of prison and went to the mall. And the police caught them, and I was trying to write their names and information down so fast, and while we were driving back to the station, I could not read my writing once I got back to the station. So, didn't I couldn't remember their names. I could not remember their ages. I didn't really know the information because it happened so fast. And so by the time I got there, I just sat there just like that professor in your book, and I was like, "I don't know what to say." And so I ended up looking like a total fool for a minute. And after I finished, I kind of said, okay, that is never going to happen to me again because I'm going to prepare so well from this point on that I will not look like that. I will not fumble ever again. Now, of course, I have fumbled since then, but I definitely prepare a whole lot better than I did that time because I did not want to feel the way I felt that day because I didn't know anything about that story and I had to turn it around so fast. So one of those skills that you have to learn also is once you gather the information, again, as we mentioned earlier, you got to be able to tell it back very quickly. So put your ears on, everybody, when you're in school because you should be able to listen to the teacher or listen to a story and then be able to tell somebody right back what you heard. That's when you're listening right there.
Yeah, and that's some good memorization skills too.
Yes.
Even if it's short-term memorization of something like those names, don't just let it just zip right through one ear out the other.
Mhm.
Keep it in there.
Yes.
So readers sometimes imagine jobs as one exciting moment after another, and I know your job has a lot of those exciting moments.
Mhm.
But in the real world, what does a typical day in your work actually look like?
Oh, well, I'm gonna get a lot of oohs and ahs for this one, I'll tell you. My day starts at 4 AM in the morning. My alarm goes off at 4 AM in the morning. How many of you wanna wake up at that time? And, well, it's up
Wow,
at 4
that's
AM.
early.
Yes, it is very early. Wake up at 4 AM, and when I get to work, the first thing that I do is, of course, I read all of the emails. You read everything that you want to catch up on. You want to see what is happening today. What am I going to do today? And what do I have to do in order to do my job the best that I can for the day? So when you get there, you're going to maybe type in some scripts. You're going to make sure that you know the information that you're going to be saying a little bit later on. Of course, you also have to speak to everyone and you have to, it's like a team effort. So television is a team effort. So everybody there has their own job, but your job is to present your story in allotted amount of time. So I get 2 to 3 minutes. So again, when I get there, I'm going to write. I'm going to make sure that I have what I need to say, and I'm going to make sure there's video. I'm going to make sure that if I have to edit video, I may have to edit some video. But in the end, once I start and I do my first report, then I will present it to them. And then after that, I can kind of relax because I've done what I set out to do, and then I may have to do those same steps over again a couple of more times in a couple of hours, every 30 minutes or so. So it is very important for you guys to learn the information so that when they come to you, you can just speak off the top of your head or have some notes so that you can refer back to when you're talking. You can be like, oh yes, and blah 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 blah, and you can look down and read it and that kind of thing. So unfortunately, you can't do that on tests for you kids your age, but you can do it when you get to the workforce.
So Addie spends a lot of time figuring out clues and puzzles and ciphers in every single book.
Mhm.
Can you walk us through a real problem you had to solve in work and how you figured it out?
Yes. So a lot of times we have some issues with editing and everything. Like I'll give you a problem that just happened to me a few minutes ago, as a matter of fact. We went and shot a story a little bit earlier, and I had a card, a video card. When I put the card into the computer, there was one clip that was not showing up. And that was a very important clip because it had an interview on it. And so I was looking around and all the other clips were there except that one clip. And it was just reading like an X. So I was just like, where is it? Where is it? And so I let all of the other clips download. And then I said, okay, what am I going to do? I really need this interview. This is the basis of my story that I'm going to be doing. And so I said, okay, let me just see if I can pull the card out and then put the card back in. And of course, when I did that, all of these things came up on my computer saying, "Hey, this is messed up. This is that, and all this is not working. You need to try to fix it or scan it to fix it." And eventually, it showed up, and I was able to use the video. I was so happy. I was so happy, and all it took was, "Hey, maybe if I pull this out and put it back in, I could do that." But there have been other instances to where I may have said the wrong name on air and somebody corrected me. And you feel bad, but it's not the end of the world. So I'm telling all of you guys, if you make a mistake, it's okay. Just keep going because it's going to be okay. All right. I'm telling you that. So, Loxley, there are plenty of examples that we could give, but I think the main thing is to just make sure that when you're doing something, whether it's school or whether it's reading a book or whether it's with the wonderful stories that you have, it is all about solving problems and just relaxing, concentrating, and thinking through the situation so that when you do, when you're able to get to that point, you're able to think through it and then finish the process.
So sometimes the most interesting parts of a career are the things that people never see. What is something about your work that most people would be surprised to learn?
Very good question. That we have so many people working there on the same thing all the time. Now, you're probably thinking, guys, oh, well, this guy, JJ, he just talks off the top of his head. Well, no, sometimes we have the camera that we're looking at right now, and all of the words that are saying, we're reading. But the skill is you have to be able to read so well that people can't tell that you're reading. So that takes a lot of skill. I think that's very interesting because a lot of people think, "Oh, he's just talking off the top of his head." No, no. Sometimes we're actually reading, but we're trying to read so well that you can't tell that we're reading. How many of you can do that? If you can't, then practice it. I promise you. If you read, the more you read, the better you become at it.
Yeah. And being able to read that teleprompter
Yes.
when you haven't read what's gonna be coming across.
Mhm.
So, you're reading it and speaking it out loud as it's, scanning in front of your eye. That's a real talent.
Yes, and to
Yeah.
be able to sometimes, as you meant, it's called reading it cold. That's the term that we
Yeah.
use. So when you read it cold, that means you don't know what you're reading, but you're just reading it. And to be able to sound like you're not reading and to be able to say the words correctly, even though there may be a word to come up to where you've never seen before, it is difficult, but again, it's a challenge, and that's what makes it so fun, doesn't it? Doesn't it make it
Oh,
fun?
yeah. It does. So Addie's always thinking about the future and what she might build next. What excites you the most about the future of your field?
What excites me the most about my field, and this is gonna be kind of controversial, controversial, is we just put together this thing called AI. Has anybody ever heard of AI, artificial intelligence? I know you have. So we have this new GPT or large language model, LL, that allows us to be able to help with our scripts. Now, we can't get the GPT to write the script for us, but we can write the script out and then we can copy and paste it and put it into the GPT and say, "Hey, can you help me make this story sound better? Can you help me make it sound better for a fifth grader? Or can you help me make it sound better for a doctor? Or can you me make it sound better for a CEO?" And it will do it for you. So I think that's one of the things that we're going to be able to do. That's gonna save us a lot of time. A lot of times, like the other day, I wrote out a story and I said, "Hey, can you take this same story that I wrote and make it for social media?" And can you make it for a story on the website? And so it writes it for different ways. That saves us a lot of time because we don't have to write it
Yeah.
3 times now. We can just write it 1 time and then have the GPT to actually write it for us. Now, of course, we still have to check it because GPTs hallucinate. For those of you who don't know what hallucinate is, that means that we're just like, "Oh, I thought I saw something and it wasn't there." So that's
Yeah.
one of the things. So you always have to check, especially with the AIs, because they're not quite, they're limited. They're not quite like the human brain just yet. But who knows? It might be coming soon. Yes,
So
great
you still have
tool.
to have the brain.
Yes,
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
tool, but don't just use it just to do your work. Do your work first and
Yeah.
then ask it to help you.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So now it's time for the lightning round.
All right.
So, what you ready? Ready? Lightning round.
Ready.
A skill that every kid should learn before high school.
Balancing budgets, financial literacy.
Yes. A book that influenced you.
My all-time favorite book is A Walk Across America because it's the journey of a guy who walked across America with his dog, and he said he wanted to see what America was like, and he really, really did. And I think that was one of the most influential things for me. So that's a book that I would really recommend. It's an old book, but it's one of my favorites.
I'm gonna have to go read that now. Something you wish schools taught more of.
Empathy. I think that empathy and sympathy because I think some schools are so concerned about, the kids learning. Sometimes kids need to learn empathy. They need to learn to care for others and not hurt others' feelings on top of learning the material. So I think we need to learn more empathy and sympathy in school. A tool I can't live without. Well, I hate to say it, but my phone, because I have to use it so much for work, I'll write notes down, but I've got over 15,000 contacts in my phone, so I've been around a long time, so if I need something, I can just call somebody or I can just text them real quick, so my phone, unfortunately.
Okay, so our final question is If Addie McAllister were standing right here in front of you today, asking you how to build a life full of skills and adventure, what would you tell her?
I would tell Addie that if there was one place, if you are sitting in your room and you want to go and visit the world, I would tell you to read, 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 because it will take you all over the world inside of your room. That's the one thing, guys, that you must. It does not matter how much artificial intelligence, it doesn't matter what all of this stuff is being created. If you are not proficient, if you are not good at reading and writing, then it is all for naught. That means it doesn't mean a hill of beans. So I'm telling you guys, reading is so important. You must learn to love to read and make sure you read Addie's Adventures.
Yes. And thank you, JJ. Sometimes the road from Rocket City to sharing your story with the world runs straight through TV. So thank you for being on the show with us. Everyone, follow JJ on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And if you're here in the Alabama area, tune in. All links below in the description. So you can just click through there. And thanks for watching Books That Build Skills. If today's story sparked an idea, gave you courage, or helped you see what's possible, then we did our job. Now remember, skills are not born, they are built. One choice, one challenge, and one brave step at a time. So hit subscribe, share this with someone who needs it, and keep exploring, building, reading, and dreaming big. I'm Loxley Brown, and this is Books That Build Skills.